Hello, welcome back to the Wildly Wealthy Woman podcast. It's Make It Happen Monday, and today we're talking about that one area of your life that you believe needs to be hard to shift, that needs to take a long time for you to break through. You're changing your thought process about that today. We are helping you think the way that God thinks about you. You were born and built to be blessed, to be wildly wealthy, to be abundant, to be healthy, to be in love. And if there's a negative force in your life telling you that this needs to be hard, this needs to take a long time, that you can't do this, that you need to be humbled, this episode is going to shift that thinking for you. Last week, I had a conversation with a family member who was helping my brother. He's in the hospital. Thankfully, he's out now. But I know it had taken a lot of her time and her resources and her money to be there. And I asked her, how are you doing? I know that this is taking a lot from you. And she said, I'm just getting used to limping along again. I got to get back to limping along through life because being there for my brother had taken up a lot of her resources that she had set aside for a trip. And she's like, yeah, I just need to let that go and get used to limping along again. And it really triggered me in the moment for a few reasons. Number one, this is a person of faith that I was talking to. And I thought, God did not design you to limp along through life. Yes, there's going to be moments in situations that are difficult, that are hard, that are challenging, that you might need to ask God to carry you through. But just because you are faced with a hard situation, a hard moment, doesn't mean that the rest of your life needs to be that way. In fact, those hard moments can often be the moments that we see miracles. But the reason why it bothered me was because I realized that it had triggered something in me, that I had unconsciously been believing that I deserved to limp along as well. Not necessarily in the same context as her, but in my own way. I am going through a year of a lot of change. There's been a lot of unexpected things that came up that caused me to have to rebuild a lot of my life. And in that process, I have felt humbled. Not so much in my business. My business has always been stable, but in my relationships, in my home, just when I felt like things were secure and certain, everything changed. And I've been using the language like, oh, this is a season of rebuilding. This is a season where I have been humbled and unconsciously been believing that this means it needs to take a long time for me to rebuild. And so today we're going to talk about the processes that I use to shift your mindset about this and get you out of that mentality that you deserve to limp through life, that this one area of your life is going to be hard and take a long time. We're going to change that today. These are languaging. This is thinking of the negative forces that we're going to clear out of your life and get you thinking and believing like God again, the way that God sees you. God built you to be blessed, to be wildly wealthy, to be abundant, to be healthy, to be happy, to be in love. And I hope this episode really helps shift that. So one of the first things that I do is, well, obviously always tapping, but before the tapping process is I look at what do I need to forgive myself for believing? So I had to forgive myself for believing that it needed to take a long time for me to rebuild, for me to get where I want to go. And maybe this is what you're feeling too today. Maybe you're believing like it needs to take a long time for you to build the business that you want to build, for you to find the love that you want to manifest, for you to move into the dream house that's been on your vision board. It's such a subtle thing, but there's usually one area of your life that this is active in, that you're like, oh, this is just going to take a while for me to get it. And one of the ways to change that is through writing forgiveness statements. So I started writing down statements on Saturday night. I forgive myself for believing that, and you can fill in your own blank, but mine was, I forgive myself for believing that it needs to take a long time for me to rebuild. I forgive myself for believing that I deserve to be, quote unquote, humbled. I forgive myself for believing that I deserved any of this. I am ready to shift this now. And the cool thing that happens is when you start to write those statements out, it brings this feeling of release. And after that release, there's a remembering. You start to remember who you are. I'm like, I am Jackie effing McDonald. It does not take me a long time to build things. I forgive myself for believing that I deserve to stay in this state of being humbled. I make things happen quickly. And this is a conversation remembering who the F you are. And so starting to write those statements down, I am fill in the blank. I am Jackie McDonald. And here's what I know about myself. I am brilliant at moving on my ideas in the moment. I am good at building things. I get everything I've ever dreamed of and more. I give myself permission to start dreaming big again. And maybe this is a call to you. This is a call to you to heal the area of your life that you have been believing needs to be hard, needs to take a long time, that you need to stay small because of it. You need to forgive yourself for believing that story. And you need to give yourself permission to take your power back, show up, be your true self, go all in, believe in yourself again. So those are two statements that I would start with today. What do you need to forgive yourself for? And what do you need to give yourself permission to do? And then this is where we get into the energy of remembering who the heck you are. And you start to reclaim your power. You start to show up as yourself again. You start to come more into alignment with God. Because that person that I was referring to earlier in the story, she's a person of faith. And I didn't say it. I felt like saying it to her, but I thought, God didn't design you to limp along. God wouldn't want that languaging to come out of your mouth. Just because you're going through a hard experience and yeah, some of your resources had to go towards that doesn't mean you're going to lose out on things in the future. And if you are going through a moment of hardship and you're thinking this is going to change everything, this is a hard moment, not a hard life. And the negative forces want you to think this is a hard moment and it's going to be like this forever. God wants you to remember this is a hard moment. I'm going to carry you through it. You don't need to limp. And I'm going to help you rise and you're going to be running on the other side of this. You are going to be multiplied. Your blessings will be multiplied because you had the courage to face this hard moment. You had the courage to go through the darkness, to go through the shadow. So I invite you today to forgive yourself, give yourself permission to, and remember that you are not meant to suffer and struggle, that your breakthrough doesn't need to take a long time. And the best way to accelerate this, to accelerate your breakthrough, is with tapping. The reason I can move so quickly is because I've been tapping for almost 15 years. And tapping doesn't bypass the hard moments. It acknowledges that, yeah, this is scary. This is difficult. This sucks. This is not what you had planned. This is a moment where you need to surrender and let go. And I'm actually running a class this week called Build Without Burnout that's really around this conversation about your relationship with God. Because most burnout conversations come with understanding your nervous system and having more rest. And yes, that's one component to it. But one of the biggest reasons I believe women burn out is because they think they have to do it all. And when they think they have to do it all, they are disconnected. You are disconnected from God. When you start to play God, of course you're going to burn out. You think you're the one that's responsible for everyone and everything. You're not. But there's a part of you that's used to playing that role and it's time to let it go. So we're going to be talking about and tapping through your relationship with God's spirit universe and really helping you release and let go so that you can be supported. A well-supported woman will change the world. One of my clients, I've helped her with building her movement. This is what we came down to. Well-supported women will change the world. But you cannot be well-supported if you think you are in control of everything, because that will 100% burn you out. God's spirit universe is in control. And when you remember that and you start co-creating with that, well, then things will really start to happen for you. The other core aspect to building without burnout is understanding that every time you're going after something, there's one part of you that knows you can make this happen, that knows it's possible for you. And I often think of that version of us as just on the other side of the wall. Like she's literally in the room next to you. She's not 10 years down the road. She's not 10 months down the road. She could be 10 minutes away with tapping. But for every part of you that knows that you can make it happen, there's a part of you that doesn't. And that part of you that doesn't believe you can make it happen, she's usually the part of self that's burnt out. She's the one that believes everything's on my shoulders, everything's on me. I have to figure it out. I have to do it. That's not how God designed you. God designed you to co-create with the universe, with Him. And when you start to heal that part of self that is in survival, that is in scarcity, life will start opening for you. Your body will start to heal. The people will come in. The opportunities will show up for you. You will start to see miracles. Possibility. There are limitless possibilities available to you in this moment. And one tapping session, one session, can shift you into that frequency of flow. The other sign I notice if people are in this limping along mentality, which is it's a victim mentality, is when they say, I just want things to go back to the way they were before. I'm just trying to get back to where I was. I have said this before, and thankfully, having such a great tapping practitioner in my life, she helped me identify whenever somebody says, I just want things to go back to the way they were before, there's usually some trauma there that's unresolved. Because we can't go back to the way things were before. We can only move forward. But when you remember that you are moving forward, you are in the season of becoming. You are moving forward as a person you've never been before. You have more knowledge, you have more skills, you have more wisdom. You are a wildly wealthy woman now because of the things you walked. You don't need to go back to that time. That time is over, it's done, it's past. You need to move forward in what God has for you next. You need to get into that co-creative energy, and tapping with me this week is going to do that. So let's get the negative forces out of your mind. Let's get the negative forces out of your life. Let's get you back in connection with your higher power. Let's get you out of the limping energy. If you need to be carried for a moment, for a season, let yourself be carried. But you are meant to rise. You are meant to run. You are meant to receive and be someone that is so abundantly blessed that you can give and bless others. That is what it's all about. And that's the conversation we're having this week inside our community, inside of our movement. If you want to tap on this theme specifically, come join my membership called the Make It Happen membership. We tapped on this theme that God built you to be blessed today. And we're going to continue this conversation in the Build Without Burnout class happening this week. If you're in the membership, you get the class for free, but I'll link everything up in the show notes. And if you loved this episode, if this episode helped shift your mindset, helped build your belief, helped you get out of this story that your healing, that your breakthrough, that your abundance needs to take a long time. If this helped you break through that belief today, send this to a friend. Send this to 3 friends. Or even better, share it over on social media so this can come across the right person at the right time, because you never know who needs to hear it. I love you, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Happy Monday.